How do you inspire your team? I think this is something that a lot of people in leadership positions question themselves about because we've all been there where if you've led a team, you always overanalyze how people are reacting to your presentation. Maybe you can see that somebody's obviously on their phone and not paying attention, or you see someone's facial expression and it throws you off, and you start to question whether or not you have influence over your team. And it's a hit to your ego because you don't feel like you're doing a good job, or you don't know where the problem is, and you don't know if you have enough trust with your team for them to actually give you candid feedback about how to make things better. Or maybe it's all in your head and they're actually respecting you and doing fine and getting good work done, but it's all in your head about whether or not you fit into the team culture and if you're the leader that you want to be. I think that these are questions that a lot of people have. And what I've seen from leaders who I found both inspiring and were good role models for how I eventually would want to lead my teams is that the first thing that you have to do is assess whether or not what you're communicating to the team is actually the things that they need to hear. You are not meeting them where they're at, meaning that you're not setting the context right for them to receive the message that you want them to receive. And maybe you have something inspiring that you want to say. Maybe you have a goal that you want to motivate them with. But if you don't start from the context that they are in, then you've lost them. Something that I've noticed is there are so many leaders who start off presentations without giving context first. They will just jump straight into whatever is going on in their minds. Maybe they're a little frazzled and they don't even know what the meeting is about that they're in, or they haven't been set up well and they don't have a clear understanding of the agenda. It happens all the time where a leader will just start talking and no one knows what they're talking about because they haven't set the context, but no one will say anything. They'll just nod their heads and pretend that they understand because one, they don't want to seem like they don't know what you're talking about. You're the leader and there is a power dynamic there where they don't want to look stupid in front of you. But the thing is, you're making them feel stupid because you're not setting up your communication well. But what we see as leaders, or what you'll see as a leader, is you'll see a lot of nodding heads and you'll think that people understand, but you also kind of notice that maybe they're not completely following. When you get into that situation, what you can do is ask for clarification. Be a humble leader and give them an invitation. I just shared a lot of information. I just want to make sure, does everyone have the proper context for why this is important? And if you get someone who says, yes, I'd like an explanation, then you go into that. But if you even get an inkling that maybe there are people that are lost, give the explanation anyway. And give the context anyway so that people can feel more connected to what you said. So if you want to inspire teams, one of the easiest things that you can do is set the context. Even if it feels redundant in every meeting, I encourage you to remind people about what the broader vision is. Remind them again what your team exists for. What are the overall strategic objectives of your team? And what are you working on that connects to what the broader organization is trying to achieve? I can't tell you how taking 1 minute off the top of your agenda, setting that context, reminding people of the bigger picture can do to improve the morale of your team. Because if you think about how your team is operating, they're in the weeds, they're executing on projects, they have more granular level knowledge than what you have. What they're seeing on a day-to-day doesn't go above the trees as much as we would like them to. So being the person to set the tone of the meeting by reminding them once again, this is the vision of our team and this is how it connects to the broader organization, works wonders. Every good and inspiring story has a beginning, middle, and an end. Every meeting can take a minute off the top to tell us about the beginning. Tell us about how we started, where our work started from, what we're working on right now, and also what the broader vision is. What is the end? What is the long-term objective and goal? What a lot of people just need sometimes is a reminder about why they're doing the work that they're doing. Because if you're in the weeds so much, you can often feel disconnected from the broader mission of the work. And maybe you have a lot of people on your team who joined your team because they did believe in the broader mission. But as time goes on and as much time as they spend in the weeds of their jobs executing for you as their leader so that you can go back to whoever your boss is to share the results of your team, when they're in the weeds that much, sometimes all they need is a reminder about why they joined your team in the first place, about why they're doing the work that you're doing. So if you remind them that, you can get an instant jolt of inspiration right there. And in addition to that, something that you can do to really express gratitude towards your team and add to that inspiration is remind your team about how what they're doing helps you in your work. So give them a little bit of insight into your world. What are you working on? What is keeping you up at night? What are the things that you're constantly thinking about? And when they produce things for you, when they complete projects, when they do a good job, how does that tie directly into what you need to do in your team how does that help you remove roadblocks for them that not just benefits them, but their team members and their peers? And how does that elevate your status as an entire team in the eyes of other executive leaders or shareholders or clients? Telling them how they're helping you and expressing gratitude for the work that they're doing is also a source of inspiration. And it sounds simple, but reminding people about why they're here and how they are helping, whether it's helping you or helping the organization, can keep people going for a really long time. So I want to share a story. I work in healthcare. And a few years ago, I was working for a hospital system that needed to organize a direct response to the COVID pandemic. If you worked in the healthcare provider space, it didn't matter what your job or your title was. Once the pandemic hit, you were COVID response. It was just all hands on deck. I was more junior in my career, but I was assigned to workforce management to our COVID mass vaccination sites. We're talking 800 plus staff members, clinical and non-clinical, where it was my job to organize all of these people and set up the infrastructure for the operations of our mass vaccination sites. I didn't know what I was doing. I could barely keep my head above water. And the thing about that is, especially if you're someone who's not like me, if you work in healthcare, you know that you can't tell a doctor nothing. If you're not clinical, it's very hard to earn respect from doctors. But the thing about how I approach my work relationships with anybody is I never say that I know more than I actually know. I try to keep it very real, and I do exactly what I just shared before, which is like, here is what we're trying to do. Here's where we are now. Here's what we've done. Like, I need your help to do ABC so that we can get to this end goal that we have. I know that this is really hard. I know that we're asking you to do a lot of stuff and you're really tired. Everybody's scared and everybody's thinking like, I have my own family. Why am I working all of these late hours when everything is a mess? It was a complete mess. It was the hardest I've ever worked in my life, and like nobody was sleeping. And in those moments, the thing that I found got me the respect of people who had decades of experience on top of mine and who have been in the medical field for longer than I have been. The thing that helped me connect with them was through these stories of inspiration. And the inspiration that I sourced was not a story about myself. It's a story about what we were doing. Like, we are in this together because we want to make sure that people get vaccinated and that they have access to these vaccinations. The people who are most at risk for this disease are the people that we want to reach. And in order to get that, in order to reach that point, I need your help and we need to work together. And here's a reminder of what this means for all of us. If we help these communities, then our neighbors will stay healthy. If our neighbors are healthy, then that means we stay healthy because we share community with these people. And I know that it's hard. I know it sucks. I know that I'm asking a lot from you, but what I'm asking of you is not something that I'm not doing myself. Is it okay if I ask this of you today? And just having those conversations and sharing with people and reminding them again about why we're here, why we need to band together, why this is important, was enough to keep people going. I think one of the best examples of when people are inspired and have morale is when they're doing something that they know sucks, but they're still doing it. If they're doing something even though that they're tired and they know that they can get away with slacking off, but they don't. Because at the end of the day, when you have that higher vision and you believe in what you're working towards, the tiredness and the things that we used to complain about, they just don't feel as important as what we're doing in the moment. And what makes us feel connected to what we're doing in the moment is that reminder that we were working towards a broader vision. And the people working alongside me, doesn't matter if they're peer level or if they're my leader, they're working on the same thing just as hard. So communicate those stories, communicate that importance, communicate that broader vision, and you'll see how much your team starts to get a boost in morale, increase in productivity, and feel more connected to their jobs. And more importantly, feel more connected to the people that they're working with because they know that they are part of something. Share that broader vision and just watch how these stories will start to affect your team and earn you more respect as a leader. So that's just a short tip for today. I hope it was helpful. Until next time, everybody, take care.